Dr. Reeves, speech and language therapist. Particular piece of work, I was approached to give some support for a project to look at using MyChoicePad within the early years sector. We made a connection with ABC Nursery and they agreed to work with us and to help us look at how MyChoicePad might add to their delivery of their provision, linked in with the EYFS. One of their key priorities was to look at assessment really in terms of the 2-year check, and so we decided to work on a vocabulary based project, and we worked together to formulate a vocabulary of 100 words which we divided into categories so that gave a spread of the sort of vocabulary that certainly I, as a speech and language therapist, would always want covered. The time of the project has been 6 weeks, and this is tied in with the staff also undertaking their high-level training in speech, language and communication.
Anchor, I'm the area manager at ABC Day Nursery. They're all very different. We've got Hadley, which is a purpose-built nursery, all singing, all dancing, very up to the minute, but a cross-section of children. Children on child protection, 2-year pilots, some with special needs from the bridge, and then also the teachers' children from the area, lots of additional languages. Hollinswood is a very secular nursery. It's a very secluded area. It's all word of mouth. If the people in the area think you're okay, they will bring their child. And it took a while to become part of that community. So again, we've got lots of Ghanaians, Polish, 2-year-olds, because it's quite a deprived area. Then you've got Rockwoodine, which is middle class, I suppose, predominantly white, doctors, professional children tend to go there, and then Lightmoor, again a new setting, still building up, mainly using the children actually on the estate. We seem to have them from the school. So 4 very different settings.
I'm Louise Cooper, I'm lead practitioner here at ABC Day Nursery in Lightmoor. Well, I did an old MacDonald activity where I sang Old MacDonald Had a Farm and then put the animals in the grid for the specific children that knew some and didn't as such.
That's it. Then we press this one.
And on that farm he had a
Chicken. Where's the chicken?
chicken.
Where's the chicken? Good boy. What noise does a chicken make? Gluck, 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 gluck. Good boy. Well done.
I also did a shopping one where you put, so it got them to say the word as well, but in my basket I would like, so they pressed it and had to say what they wanted to put in their shopping basket. That, as well as just the general Dear Zoo and the other matching names really.
I'm Makaton, I'm the lead practitioner at Hollinswood Day Nursery in Telford. I'm carrying out the study with about 8 of the children. The amount of children varied really, the amount of words. The lowest was 9 out of 100. Yes, and then the highest I think was 785, I think it was. So obviously with the child that was the lowest, I started off with 1 category, and he has actually, the amount is nearly doubled.
I've got an amazing little boy that had what I didn't think had very good speech and language, but he's come on leaps and bounds. He's gone from getting 2 right within a grid to getting about 17, 18 right. So that was a massive and outstanding achievement really, and we shared that with Mum as well, so she's really pleased with it. So and it just shows that it has had a huge effect on his learning and his development with reference to his speech and language. So it's been a real positive outcome for him really. It's highlighted to me now that he can be helped by one-to-one a fun and a stimulating way of learning, you know, and he doesn't necessarily need that outside agency. He can still achieve whilst being within the setting and being in a nursery environment.
My name is Samantha Davis and I'm the lead practitioner. I work with children from 3 months up until they go to school, so around 4.5 years. So to do with that Makaton signs, with the animals, so say we did the Makaton sign for a pig or a cow or a sheep. Once we'd done it, the baby started to join in and copy us. But because we used some Makaton in the baby room, anyway, they used to some Makaton in there. So when we were doing the signs of the Makaton, the older babies started to join in and do the signs as well. And the ones that are a little bit older in the preschool room, we can say they're saying there, we're making a casserole.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's because I've used it with them and they've seen it and they're like proud to be able to say the word casserole now. To begin with, they could not say it. The pronunciation of the word, but now they can say it, they're using it in their play as well, so it's developing their language. So with the MyChoicePad, there's so much you can do with it, like I say, from the babies up until the preschool. Like say with the babies we've done songs and animal noises. With the preschool we've started to make sentences. We do memory games using say cards or flashcards within the setting. They prefer to use it on the iPad now rather than our flashcards. So if the practitioners within the setting are trying to do like memory games with them, they say now can we use Sam's iPad to do our memory game when they prefer to do it.
Baby.
Good girl. Is it baby?
Yeah.
Good girl. What was it?
A cat.
A cat. I used it with a couple of children that've got English as an additional language, and to begin with, because he doesn't really speak any English within the setting, if we wasn't sure on how much he recognised in English, but then using the iPad with him, we asked him like to name different objects, and he was there. He could say like, say it was tractor, he could say tractor, say it was the train, he could say train, and from using the iPad there's words that we didn't know that he could recognise, that he could recognise from using the iPad. So yeah, I used him from the beginning to the end, and like to begin with he knew more words than I thought he would have known, but then towards the end his scores were really high. He was getting like between 80 and 90 out of 100. The parents, because we said to them that we didn't know, wasn't sure how much he could recognise because I don't speak to him in English at home, so he's only spoke to him in English within the setting. So we said we wasn't sure how much he'd recognise, but they was really surprised as well how much he could recognise in English.
It's a play experience, isn't it? And children learn through play. You know, it's not stressful for them. It's not like a test situation. You know, they're sat there with you. They're having that one-to-one. They're having that little bit of time of your time. Slipped out of the habit of using my Makaton all the time, whereas now I've come back round to doing it just as a general, you know, as we're chatting and things like that. So, you know, it's brought that back out of me really, and you know, and the practitioners do ask, you know, oh, is that Makaton? And I do see little snippets of it in other rooms now.
I'm Chloe Lewis and I'm a nursery nurse at ABC. And I've never used an iPad before, so I thought it's new for me, it's new for the children, let's just go with it and see how we get on. Amazing how adaptive they can be to technology. Like, repetition of it, they get it straight away. Like, it's crazy. They're more adaptable to it than what like grown-ups are, I think, because sometimes I'm like, oh, what do we click again to go back? And they know exactly what to do, what to press. Can you find me the dog? Where's the dog? And they will look. And like some children, the repetition of it, you can see them thinking, scanning, oh no, it's that one, and you can see it just the way that you watch their eyes and maybe their finger to use as a guide, and you're like, go on, you can do it, you know you can, and they'll press it, so it's really good.
Can you find me the digger?
Digger?
Where's the digger?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Digger.
Digger!
Good girl, was that the digger?
I think they're so aware that because it's technology, they love technology, and I think they're so aware, just because it's a nice sitting down activity together, you can just tell they've got respect. They know how to treat things with respect. We teach that anyway through play and
I
stuff.
think it's given them the opportunity to look at ways of introducing language and looking at the development of language in the setting, and also having technology, I suppose, to use specifically for language. You know, you use a lot of ICT things in a nursery, or the computers, and I don't think they're used to the best of their ability, having seen what can be done with a specific app. I think because it's so simple to use, it can be adapted quite easily into the routine, and I think that's the thing that's probably shone out. It's quite hard sometimes to go to staff and say, we need to implement this or we need to implement that, because we haven't got the time in the routine, or we haven't got the time to do this, or we haven't got the resources. That's been very simple, just go in. And I think for the children it's been lovely to have that one-to-one time with a member of staff.
Penny Hustwick, director of ABC Day Nursery. A couple of years ago, when it became sort of evidence that in early years we was responsible for any early identification of special needs. So from that, you know, we've had to tighten up our procedures in the fact that when girls are observing children, they get the right evidence down. They write down the right characteristics, what they're looking for, and be able to measure that against the EYFS, our development guidance, to say where the gaps are, and they can identify, and they've got the evidence to prove that those gaps are, because when we then call professionals in, we need to be able to say why we've called them in, what's the reason behind it, where we think there's a problem. And I suppose that's tightened up even more now with the 2-year progress checks. There is a statutory requirement that we have to do before the child's 3rd birthday. And this is where some children now don't go to health visitors. And because we was an area where health visitors weren't seeing them at 2s, it fell even more of a responsibility for us to be able to evidence gaps in children's learning and development. It's given them that bit more evidence that they've got something that they can actually say, well, this is what the child's achieving, this is where they're saying they should be, and actually we've got a gap here, and how we're going to tackle that gap and what we're going to do. Do we need to call outside help in, or is it something we can work on a bit longer, like using the MyChoicePad? You know, is there other activities we can do using that, because the child's becoming confident in using it? So if we keep using that for another few weeks, because to try and get help, especially in speech and language therapy, it's like writing your Christmas list now and you've got to wait that long. You know, the waiting lists are so long, that we could encourage a parent to go to their GP, but we would still be working on it, and by the time perhaps that referral came, the child might not need it. And that's what we'd like to hope. And I think because they can see that measurable progress, they can see where a child started and see where a child's finished. And I think that's boosted them as well.
It's simple, it's easy to use, and it's effective. I'd do it again tomorrow. Leave me an iPad and I'd still be out there. Definitely.